Hey everyone, welcome back to Buick Outdoors. If you're new around here, my name is Sheldon Marion, and today we have another little boat project video for you. Essentially what we gotta do is we gotta clean out all the stuff that's along the rails here, and essentially just kind of clean the boat out itself, and then we're going to be working on this cable steering system. So the way that this system works is in the bow of the boat underneath, you have your steering wheel, and on your steering wheel you have like your steering shaft, and then underneath there's a bit of a drum. And the way that drum works with all those spirals is you have pretty well one real long cable that's only cut at the very ends here, and the center of that cable goes into the center of that drum, and then you pretty well rotate it on in opposite directions of that that drum. And that way when you turn it, the whole cable itself kind of rotates back and forth or moves up and down. And then the way that it's attached to the motor is, you can see the cable that's dangling there. It goes to a pulley over there in the corner, which turns, comes down into this corner, and I'm assuming there's another pulley inside that gets thread through here. This goes to this pulley that's attached to the motor, and then it comes over here and it's anchored to this spring. And then this spring, there's also a little bit of give to it, so it almost acts like a spring tensioner as well. And yeah, I've never actually worked on this stuff before. It's just kind of what I've researched a little bit of it, so I somewhat know what I'm doing. But yeah, let's get after this project, see if we can get it fixed. Alright, so let's get down in here and see what we're really working with. So underneath you have your steering shaft, which is connected right in here. Here's this drum pulley. So this line is where your cable initially goes into, and then you have to spin it one way and then wrap it around this way, and then we're able to run that cable to this pulley. This goes all the way down into the back, and then in the back I thought there was another pulley. It looks like there's just those two rollers. They're kind of in the stern of the boat there. So as we make our way down to the back, you can see where the cable runs. It goes over the little shelf there, and then inside comes in to where those rollers are. Those rollers are right there, which goes to that pulley, and it comes to the tensioner. So it should be easy enough. Pretty well. I have to grab my cable that I bought, basically find the center of that cable that's the center of that cable is going to go into the center of what do we want to call it, the drum. And then I'll turn the steering wheel one way, and I got some tape with me, and I'll tape the crap out of it basically, and then I'll just hand spin the other one. Then that way the ends of the cables are at both ends of the drum. I'm thinking that might work. And then from there, the rest of it looks very simple, but I say that now, give me about 20 minutes and I probably won't be saying the same thing. But anyways, we're gonna grab this cable. That one's already cut, but we gotta get it off of the tensioners on both sides. Run all this cable back to the steering wheel, yank all that off, and then we'll grab our new cable and start running it. So it looks like this cable is just held on by 2 flathead screws. I got the old handy dandy Leatherman with me. I'm thinking if I can just unscrew these, that just holds it on kind of like a clamp. So if I take these off, I'll be able to yank this out, and we should be sitting pretty good to pull it out. There, that separates, that opens up. Alright, so we got the screws here just in place there so I don't lose those. Might reuse those later. We'll pull that out. Pull it through this cable, or this pulley. Feed it through there. Feed it through this. There we go, heard it pop. Now what we'll be able to do is, I keep saying simple, but grab that cable, pull it out. Oh. It's stuck on the inside somewhere, so I gotta hop back into the boat here and see what we're hung up on. Right there. What I might do is just cut this cable right around here and then pull it out. That way we're not messing around with that pulley overly too much. Well, turns out I didn't have to cut it. Just have to get 2 hands in there and yank that out. We'll climb underneath here again, and we'll see how hard it is to pull it through this one now. So here, it is a very simple concept the way that they do this. Once we get to that painted part, the paint's been hanging up on her. There we go. Easy peasy. Oh, I lied. There we go. So now that cable's out. We're free all the way back to the drum. Now we just gotta do the same thing to the other side. And yeah. So far this hasn't been that bad of a job. Lots of tight spaces like I'm in right now, and it's getting pretty hot, but that's alright. We'll get over it. Anyways, I'm gonna yank out the other side, and then we'll start working on our new cable. Alrighty, so we got all the old stuff out and kind of just piled up here. And then the center of the steering wheel, I want it so that Glascraft emblem is nice and straight. What I did, I marked the steering wheel. Looks like somebody might have marked it in the past there as well. And now this part is where we gotta be a little smart about this. So here's the groove that we're gonna have to put our new line through. And when we start to spiral or connect it back on here, we go from the outside in. That way when your cable is right here, as you turn left and right, it has the most travel. But in order to do that, we have to, well, in order to do that and to keep the steering wheel straight, we'll have to spiral this all on here, turn it to where our steering wheel is straight, and then pretty well tape the crap out of this side and hand spin this one on, or vice versa. I'll probably do it this way. But yeah, this is gonna be a bit of a process. So now I got my new cable, and one thing that should be kind of mentioned, and I almost didn't think of it, is make sure that your old cable and your new cable is the same size. So with this one here, this 1/8, yeah, this is 1/8 7x7 cable, and it's galvanized cable coated in PVC. So as you see here, might be able to see that on camera, it's pretty well the same size. I think the old cable, it looks a little bit bigger just because it's full of water, rust, and it's swelled up a little bit. So yeah, we kind of half got lucky. Half got lucky because I knew it was a smaller cable, but I wasn't exactly sure what exact size that I needed. So I just went on a whim and said, well, 1/8. But anyways, I have to open this up, unravel it all, and then I have my Sharpie somewhere. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to string this cable out. I'm going to find the center, and then we'll line that center up with the center of that drum, and then we'll pretty well just start spinning it on and cross our fingers that this works. Alright, we're back under the boat. So I went out and I found the center of my cable and marked it with my Sharpie. And now what we got going on here, we have our little groove. So with this groove, we're gonna put our cable in here, like I keep saying, till it comes out this side. And then what I'm gonna do, if I spin it right and I keep my finger in this groove, we'll be able to come in like this until we reach the center, which will be right about there. I should maybe count those. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 3, and about 2/3 of a turn to reach roughly the center. And then that way, by doing it that way, when we go to hand turn the other stuff on, it'll be on the outside here, and that this is much easier to work in than up against this. So with that all being said, I'm going to clip this camera here somewhere, and hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing. Alright, so let's see if we can get this situated. So if I put that in here, I want to turn it that way. This needs to come in. Right, yeah. That needs to go there. This needs to go on this side. And then what did I say, 2 and something turns. You can see how it's wrapping up real nice so far. That's 1. This cable might end up being a issue for us. Yes. We'll just have to make do with it here. So right about there is the middle. But the problem is now, if you let this go, it's just gonna go poof. It's gonna just spring out like crazy. So I got my handy dandy tape. Gonna red green this thing. So I got my thumb and my finger holding on to that where I want it to stay. Hopefully I can just throw some tape on this. If they don't find you handsome, they should at least find you handy. So far, I think I'm being handy. Maybe not. More tape, the better, I guess. Look at that. That might be in the way. Or do something like that. Alrighty, so now that hand's off, it's staying in place. We have to take this, and we have to, which way we gotta go here? We gotta take this one and kinda go this way with it, yeah. So push that in real tight. Basically take this, roll it in by hand, I think. This actually is not too bad. Can I get one more? Nope. So now what we'll do, we'll center our steering wheel. I don't know if you can see that or not, but I got my little mark there. Go like this. And I'm going to put more tape up here. This part would probably be easier with electrical tape, and you could just tape your cables together, but I didn't think that one through. Grab your handy dandy buck knife. There. Now that's roughly centered. Alrighty. Now we gotta figure out which way goes where. Hopefully we don't screw this next part up. I really don't want to screw this up. So I'm gonna try something here. This would be a good way to see if I did this right. So you can see it travels. With this, you gotta kind of think backwards. So if I want the boat to go left, I have to let out this side, right? You gotta think which way the motor turns. The boat has to be pulled from the right side, right? Because then the motor, no, I think I have these orientated the right way. So that goes that way, this one goes that way. I think we have this correct. Alrighty. We got that situated now, I think. If not, we'll just have to string out the cable again. We got the hard part done anyways. So we got this cable that's going this way, has to go through pulleys, like I've showed before here. So while we're sitting here in this nice comfortable spot, might as well pull this cable through and get it through that first cable pulley. Alright, we'll take that. Put it through there. Oh, hung up on something, boys. There we go. And now I'm just going to do the same thing to the other side. Okay, so we got that cable through the pulley, still taped up here. We got that cable through that pulley. I got a big mess of stuff. But I'm starting to think here, starting to use my big brain. When you want to turn a boat to the right, I have to think here. When you turn to the right, the prop goes towards the right. So that means you got pull from the left. And with this, if I want to go right, it's pulling from the right. So I think I have these cables reversed. Maybe. On a whim, I'm going to pull this one out, pull that one out. I'm going to swap them around. And then, if anything, if it's wrong, it's a pretty easy fix. So, yeah, give me a minute here. We'll reverse these cables, and then we'll start making our way to the back. We have our cable on, strung out for that first wheel. Now this, we'll bring this out back. Find the end of her here. And then this next part, we have to get ourselves inside through that cable, reach underneath, and get it through the little guide eyes there. And it's starting to rain on us, so at least we're cooling down. But anyways, yeah, this is gonna be another little bit of a tight fit, and I'll try to get a good camera angle in there, but I can't exactly promise anything, but we're gonna try. So we got our cables just run through the first pulley down here, did the same thing on this side. And before we fully commit to this, what I want to do is just kind of do a test. So you can see the steering wheel up there. If I pull this, it wants to go left. Now, when you think about it, if you're pulling from this side, it's gonna pull the motor this way. And when you're in a boat, when the motor goes this way, it'll push the boat that way. So it'll push the boat left. So once I kind of laid there and thought about it for a second, I think I got this situated now, figured out. And if you're following along and you're just as confused as I am, well, hey, we're legit. We're in the same boat. Alrighty, so now we kind of did a quick little test steer kind of thing. I'm gonna hop into the other side there, and then we'll run this cable all the way through. We have the cable through the pulley, and I did the same thing to the other side. And now the cable's in here, and right there you can see those rollers there. It just kind of goes through that, and then we'll be working on the outside of the boat. So I'm just gonna quickly do that, and then we'll start to finish up here on the back end of it, and then figure out how to keep tension on this while we kind of finish up. Because once I remove that tape from the drum that's in there, it might spring out a little bit and kind of come off the roller. So I'm trying to think of a plan on how to stop that from happening, but we'll get there when we get there. We got this here to deal with first. Camera malfunction. So we're in the home stretch here now. We have both cables run out through here. Now we've got to run it through this pulley and then back through here and then attach it using one of these. Now we've got to grab the end of our cable, run it through the top, come down, there we go. That puts a little bit of tension on it. The only thing that I don't like, that this cable kind of has a bit of a memory on it. Seems to want to come up through the bottom almost. Kind of come this way. Let's see if that does anything different. Oh yeah, that's the way we want it. One thing that I will need though, my cable clamp. So like that. This will come through here. Find the end again. Run it back through here. And we're almost as good as new. Oh, there we go. Wrapped around the trailer light. One thing that I did off camera too was I dropped the motor down so it's actually straight up and down here. So in that way we can get this kind of tightened up. So right there I'm actually starting to turn the steering wheel, which I don't want. Right about there is where we're going to want it. Thunder's coming. We'll give this just a little tightening just to hold it there. And now we can go to the other side and get that other side going. So I'm trying to keep a good amount of tension on this. Turn that steering wheel back this way. Loosen these off. Let me move this up. So that way, go like this till that steering wheel is nice and straight. Right around there. Looks like it's straight. Put tension here. Squeeze it. There we go. There we go. And I did the same thing to the other side. So it's really tight on both sides. Now I'm just snugging these right up. That's the last thing you want to do is have that come loose on you while you're driving. I can only imagine the catastrophic failure you'd have if this thing loosened right off, especially at like full power or something. That's nice and tight. I'm gonna tighten up the other side. Now that I got both sides good and tight, I'll probably tighten it up a little bit more here yet. And what I did before coming back here was I went back underneath and I taped the drum itself again, and then I took the tape off of the cord that was coming down, so in that way it would actually spread out on both sides, so it'll be kind of a more of an operational setup. So now we'll see what happens. We'll climb underneath there, we'll pull that tape off and see if it stays in place and see if this motor actually turns or not. Oh, there we go. We'll get back into my little spot. So you can see I pulled, so these were hanging down here, and then I taped this all up and removed the tape that was here. So that way, like I said, it's more how it's going to be set up while it's in operation. So now we'll see what happens when we pull this other tape off and it stays put. We might be all right. If it comes shooting out, well, I might have some words for old Ruby. Look at that, stayed put. Now, we see the motor back there. She turns right. If we go this way, she's turning left. Oh, holy cow. I might have actually got it. So let's see what happens when I put it here in the middle. Oh, it might be just a smidge off, but in this case, I'm not going to complain. I'm going to call that about good enough. We almost, I want to say we almost got it too tight, but at the same time, if it's too loose, this here will all just spring off. So I don't know, I think I'm happy. I'm going to sit in the front seat here and give her a spin and see what happens when I'm actually sitting up on the seat. So let's have a seat. We'll start turning left. You can pretty well turn it with one finger. Oh yeah. Turn it back to the right. Looks like we have full motion. And let's see if it spooled or unspooled underneath. It's looking pretty good still. Hey, you know what? I think we got that fixed up. And like I was saying, when you go left, the prop has to go that way, right? So, with that being said, I think we got her. Look at that, we got steering. See what happens when we put it right smack dab in the middle. There's a little bit of play in there, but like I said, I think we're gonna call that good enough. I'm gonna tighten up those cables now, see if any of that loosened off, which it doesn't look like they did. They still look nice and tight, but I'm gonna give them a couple more turns, and then I think we're done here, guys. Not bad for never doing this before, and yeah, we got it figured. One heck of a neat project, and it's one more thing that we didn't have to pay somebody else to fix. Like I said at the beginning of all this, you know, average outdoorsman, if we don't have the money to buy new, we have to buy old and kind of make it new. You know, some people can't afford the new stuff like myself, so you just gotta kind of learn how to fix things and use what you got. So far, total in this project, so the boat itself was $700. This cable, because like this 50 feet I think was $30. These things I didn't end up using. I got this one to go on here, but unfortunately this was too fat to actually sit right in here. It was all kind of crooked like that, so that wasn't gonna work, but we lost $3 on that. The cable clamps, again, that's like $3.50. And well, Gorilla Tape, I mean, if you're an outdoorsman, there's a good chance you can have Gorilla Tape or duct tape kicking around already. If not, we'll call it 10 bucks. So for, what is that, say $50, we got our steering back. Compared to if you would have took this to, say, a mechanical shop, it would have been $50 for parts plus their markup. So we'll call it $75 to $100, and then about 2 hours. And depending on where you are, like mechanical rates up here in the north, it's like 150 bucks an hour. So we would have spent probably $300, and then with taxes and everything, it'd be like 400. Maybe we can round it up and call it 500 bucks, because there'll be other little parts and pieces and stuff that, whatever. So say it's $400 or $500 to fix this, when I was able to do it myself with no prior knowledge whatsoever on how to do this for like $50. So yeah, that is part 2 of this series. Next, I got gifted this jerry can or gas tank, so we're gonna have to rig that up with a new fuel line, and I have to install the battery box, which is here. This was just loosely sitting in there, so we have to get that rigged up inside. We'll probably have to fix those terminals. They don't look that good, so we'll cut those, put new ends on it, get the fuel tank in, and then put the water clamp on the back and see if it fires up. So far, I mean, we're not in this for very much. The fuel tank, that was free, but you know, if you go Canadian Tire or whatever, I think they're about 150 bucks maybe. Fuel line was another 60. So yeah, all in all, we're slowly making progress, and man, I'm excited for this, and I hope you guys are too. But anyways, thanks for watching. Hopefully you learned something. If you're wanting to take on an old boat project like this, take it from me. As long as you put in a little bit of time and effort on researching stuff, you should be able to fix almost anything, even when it comes to patching fiberglass and stuff. On YouTube, there's thousands of videos on how to do it. You have to be a little picky and choosy. You know, some guys say they know what they're doing. Some guys, yeah, you know, you'll figure it out. But anyways, like I said, if you like this video, hit like. Thanks again for watching. Subscribe to the channel. Leave me a comment. Tell me about your little boat projects. We'll catch you on the next one.